Meghan Markle is disliked by so many people that it's basically become a national hobby in Britain. And ever since she walked away from the royal family, it has only gotten louder. The thing people keep saying is that she knew exactly what she was signing up for. She married a prince on live television in front of 2 billion people. She took the title, she took the castle wedding, she took the horse-drawn carriage and the balcony moment and the entire fairy tale. And then, roughly 18 months later, she decided the fairy tale was unbearable and moved to a mansion in California to tell everybody how unbearable it was. That's where Britain lost its patience with her. And honestly, I understand why. She said she wanted privacy, and then she made a documentary about wanting privacy. She said the family fed her to the press, and then her husband wrote hundreds of pages about his own brother and sold it for a fortune. Then came the podcast. Then came the jam. Then came the cooking show, where she teaches you how to arrange flowers, as though that was the thing keeping the nation up at night. And every time somebody points any of this out, the answer that comes back is that she's being treated unfairly. Maybe she is. I mean it. Maybe she genuinely is. And later, I'm going to show you exactly how much of what you've seen about her online was built on purpose. But she's now polling below Queen Camilla. Camilla, of all people. And there's exactly one royal left sitting underneath her. And they took the word prince off him. So how does anybody fall that far, that fast? Queen Camilla is more popular in Britain than Meghan Markle right now. And I don't think people have properly absorbed how mad that is. This is Camilla, the woman a whole country blamed for the most famous broken marriage of the last century. She got shouted at in the street, couldn't do a walkabout for years without security bracing for it, booed openly. And she's now sitting above Meghan Markle because she kept her head down and did the boring work for 2 decades straight, which apparently still counts for something over there. Turn up, shut up, wait it out. It worked. Everyone else is miles ahead. William and Catherine are adored. Princess Anne could reverse a Land Rover through a hedge on live television, and Britain would defend her. King Charles is having the best run of his life. Meghan's near the floor, and the only thing between her and last place is Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, who got into so much trouble they stripped the word prince off him permanently. That's her benchmark now, not Catherine, him. And she arrived with more goodwill than any newcomer in decades. That's the part that gets me. Here's what the headlines flatten out. It isn't everybody. It's specifically the over 40s. And among them, it's savage. While people under 30 mostly shrug and say, she seems fine. 2 completely different countries, reading the same woman, both convinced they're obviously right. And that's because the argument was never really about her. One generation was raised on the idea that you take the duty, you smile, you wave, you don't complain about the job in public, ever. The next lot think if a place is making you unwell, you leave, and anyone telling you to stay is part of the problem. Meghan landed on that exact fault line and became a walking referendum on it. She was never going to win that one. Nobody could. Although one thing does bother me. British women rate her worse than British men do, consistently, every single time they ask. The feminist icon of the family, and she does better with men than with her own demographic. My read? A lot of women watched her and felt lectured, and that's a hard one to come back from. She was popular once, properly popular, and you can trace nearly the whole collapse to one single week. First, the couple announced they were stepping back. Days later, a British paper ran a complaint from a former press secretary about how Meghan treated her staff, which her team called a calculated smear campaign. And then the Oprah Winfrey interview aired, where she said someone in the family had made a comment about her unborn son that shocked her, and that the palace wouldn't make him a prince. Huge accusations.
He's not going to be given a title. Concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What?
The kind you can't walk back, ever. Said calmly, on camera, to the biggest interviewer alive. Pointed at a family that by tradition doesn't answer back. What happened next is the bit everyone forgets. The palace ordered a review into the staff complaint, and then refused to publish a word of what it found. So the complaint is on the record forever. The truth of it never came out, and both sides have been shouting into that empty space ever since. And here's the thing nobody says out loud. Nobody won that week. She just never got the country back. Not one single point of it.
Prince Harry's numbers are creeping back up. Hers aren't. Same house,
Same choices, same interviews, sat right next to each other on the same sofa. And Britain has quietly worked out which one of them it holds responsible. He's had his own mess to deal with. He lost the court appeal over his UK security, with the judge basically saying a sense of grievance isn't a legal argument. And he told the BBC his father wouldn't speak to him about it. Then came tea at Clarence's house. About 55 minutes. First time they've been in the same room in 19 months. 55 minutes with your own father after a year and a half of nothing. This summer, the family flew over together, and the children met King Charles for the first time in years. Nobody said a word about any of this out loud, obviously. They don't have to. So watch who's being pulled gently back in, and watch who nobody's inviting to anything. This is where it stops being about feelings. Her cooking show got reviews so bad they were almost impressive, sat in the top 10 for about a week, then disappeared. Season 2 didn't chart at all. There's no season 3 coming. There won't be. Spotify had already wrapped their deal after a single season of the podcast, and one of their executives went on the record calling the couple grifters, which is a genuinely wild thing to say about people you just handed tens of millions of dollars. Then Netflix pulled its money out of her lifestyle brand entirely and left a mountain of unsold stock behind. Now go back and look at how this started. The wedding was watched around the whole planet. Her husband's book became the fastest-selling non-fiction title ever recorded. The appetite was real. People wanted her. Something in the middle of all that burned straight through it. And when the people writing the checks start quietly leaving the room, that isn't the internet being cruel to her. That's math. Her own half-sister took her to federal court, which tells you plenty about that family. Samantha sued for defamation over the Oprah Winfrey interview and a Netflix series, mostly over Meghan saying she'd basically grown up as an only child. The judge threw the whole case out with prejudice. Every statement was either protected opinion, substantially true, or just not defamatory. Samantha appealed anyway. And at that hearing, the chief judge told her lawyer that everything he was arguing was beside the point because his own brief hadn't challenged the ruling he came there to challenge. A judge telling a grown man he brought the wrong homework to court in front of everybody. There's still no final written decision. So if you've seen videos claiming Samantha already won, someone's lying to you for views. Straight up. Their father, Thomas Markle, hasn't spoken to her since before the wedding and has been through serious health trouble since. Meghan did reach out after the last one, and Doria Ragland, her mother, has never said one public word about any of this. Not one in 8 years. Smartest woman in the story by a mile. Here's the bit nobody tells you, and it's the reason this whole story falls apart at the edges. Cross the Atlantic, and the entire thing basically evaporates. In America, she polls roughly break even, with about as many people liking her as not liking her, which for a woman 2/3 of Britain can't stand, is a completely different planet. She's slipping over there too. That trend isn't pretty either, but it's nowhere near the wipeout she's taking back home. And that tells you exactly why she is never moving back. Why on earth would she? In Montecito, she's a former actress who married a prince, which in California is practically a personality trait. In Britain, she's the woman who took their prince and left with him. Same woman, two completely different verdicts. And she gets to pick which country she wakes up in. It's also why the headline never really held up, because there's no global vote, there's no worldwide survey. And when researchers actually dug into the pile on online, they found fewer than 100 accounts behind around 70% of it. So she isn't the most disliked woman in the world. She's a woman one very specific country decided it was finished with, and she got on a plane.